Welcome back. Today we are going to be analyzing some contrasting views between Kevin O'Leary and Michael J. Burry when it comes to Palantir stock. Now, the comments from both of these prominent investors are a little dated at this point. Nonetheless, I want to explain what they were saying and apply it to where we currently stand with Palantir. Kevin O'Leary being the bull and Michael Burry being the bear. Let's start off with Kevin O'Leary. Here's what he had to say about Palantir on August 8th, and I promise you this is still relevant today.
I want to turn this over to you, Mr. Wonderful. I know you've been eyeing Palantir, but you haven't pulled the trigger just yet. Is this report gonna make you go ahead and buy, or is it something that's gonna make you hold back?
You know, I made this one of my picks for the CNBC stock draft a long time ago because of the premise of enterprise and particularly their strength with lobbyists in Washington. They're everywhere. You go to Washington, D.C., these guys own the town. And so their technology is particularly friendly. I don't care what side, if you're a red state, blue state, or I think the government's very comfortable with their platform and the security it provides. And so I think that relationship's locked in. Now, in terms of getting a better place to forecast and why I didn't buy it today, I actually think it's going to see some more downside. And my thoughts are there's going to be a lot of volatility until midnight or past midnight on November 8th.
So was his prediction correct about Palantir stock seeing some more downside between August 8th and November 8th? Yes, we did indeed see 27% downside, and now Palantir after the midterms has started to recover some, of course. A lot of different things going on there in terms of interest rates, the Fed, and all of that. And nice to see Palantir rebounding a bit this morning on the back of the easing concerns of inflation. But all that to say, it looks like that was a correct prediction. What does he have to say going forward?
If what I think is going to happen, and I want to be bipartisan when I say this, I'm just looking back at history. Every incumbent loses seats in the House, but in this case, maybe the Senate as well. And all of a sudden, the government flips to more of a red state vibe. You want to be long this company. So my thinking is to buy into the midterms. Republican lobbyists, Republican states like this technology, and they will probably give more visibility to this company's upside in the back end of the year. So it's just a timing thing for me. It's like 78% government. So when you're buying this, you're partnering with the government. And right now, the government is very, very partisan. You saw that vote over the weekend. They don't like each other. And I will say one thing closing on this and why I feel better about this name. I went to the convention last week in Denver of the states, the National Convention of State Legislators. Lo and behold, they're bipartisan. They even like each other. They get a lot of stuff done. I'm going to start working more with the states, I think, than the federal government. That's the way I'm feeling right now.
So now having at least most of the results from election week, we see that the Democrats are keeping the Senate, but as Kevin O'Leary predicted, the Republicans will take the House. So not exactly a red sweep as he was hoping for, but I do think this is certainly helpful and could aid Palantir to some degree. So with Palantir stock falling 27% ahead of Kevin O'Leary's prediction for it to rebound, and I'd assume he has increased his position based on that. Now let's head over to what prominent bear Michael J. Burry has been saying, going as Cassandra on Twitter. But for the next minute, I want to talk about Moomoo, a company that I've been working with to provide you with up to 15 free stocks. Moomoo is a brokerage firm based in Palo Alto, California. I'm in the app on Palantir stock, but I want to show you how great it is to learn more about Palantir. You can head to the summary page, view shareholder holdings, and see the latest details on percentage ownership, shares owned, changes over time, increases and decreases regarding positions. And here we get an earnings recap with revenues of $473 million and net income loss of $179 million. The business revenue composition breakdown, government coming in at 58% of revenue, regional with the United States at 57%. We can take a look at financial indicators, financial estimates going forward, the technical indicators, the company's valuation, the latest news. And for a limited time, you can get $10 cash back in addition to the 15 free stocks. As an exclusive offer, for any amount deposited, you can get 1 free stock and the $10. For $100 deposited, you can get 4 free stocks, and for $2,000 deposited, you can get 10 free stocks. Using the link in the description supports the channel. Thank you. I believe this was back in September or October, but basically he said This morning, there were still 218 primary stock listings in the United States with a market cap over 1 billion and EBITDA less than negative 100 million. So this is very interesting what we're about to get into. 29 of them had a market cap over 10 billion, totaling 655 billion. Saying it again, all the silliness must go. So if you're following along here, Palantir, of course, has a market cap over 10 billion and EBITDA less than negative 100 million. So here's the list, and this was as of October 9th. We had 30 companies, and so Boeing, Snowflake, Uber, Twitter, which is fairly ironic, right? That getting taken out at a terribly high valuation. Rivian, Lucid, Roblox, DoorDash, Snap, Palantir, there it is, Coinbase, Twilio, Unity, the sort of growth tech stocks that many retail investors do really love for the potential returns, right? So let's get on over to a screen here that I ran through FactSet. So just sorting in the US with market values over $10 billion and EBITDA less than 100 million, we now only have 26 results. So 26 results, here they are. And there it is, Palantir Technologies, number 13 on this list. And this is very interesting, right? Because Michael Burry is saying there should be no company worth more than $10 billion if they're losing $100 million in EBITDA. But have a look at Rivian, right? Rivian is worth, on a market value basis, $31.5 billion. Actually, let's sort by market value here and see who has the highest. Uber, okay? And then, of course, Snowflake, which is very interesting, right? Worth $50 billion. So let's take Snowflake, for instance. He's saying that Snowflake should not be worth any more than $10 billion because it is not a profitable machine. But what I would caution by saying is that may be a fair view in a bear market, and of course, Michael Burry is a bear. But in any other environment, investors are, of course, willing to pay for growth and willing to pay for companies that will eventually be profitable in the future. So what his warning here is saying is that you don't want to overpay for a company that really doesn't look good on a fundamental basis. So what that means for me with Palantir, if we scroll back down again, is that we want to make sure Palantir has a clear runway to profitability, isn't getting overheated in the short term in regards to the stock, and is still fairly valued based on what our expectations are for the stock. But basically, he's saying Palantir shouldn't be worth any more than $10 billion in his opinion, with the stock worth $16.8 billion today. His price target would be below $5 per share. So I guess you could say that Michael Burry could be buying Palantir below $5 per share. I know it is certainly not his stock, but that would be where he considers fair value to be. And as we talked about with Kevin O'Leary, he considers Palantir to be fairly valued currently. So hopefully this video has been helpful. I wanted to run through a bear and a bull case, at least with prominent investors and what they are thinking about this stock in this very uncertain environment. And it hopefully gave you some insight in some other stocks along the way. Until next time.